Well, hello, everybody. It's Dr. Hank, and welcome, welcome. This is just going to be such an exciting show for health, wealth, and success. So, we do two different ones: agent wealth success for real estate agents and brokers, but health, wealth, and success is for everybody. And the kiddos, and by the way, if the kiddos are listening to this, they pick up this stuff all the time. In fact, my 4 year old was in the other room. His parents didn't think this is my grandson, and his parents didn't think he was listening at all, but he heard them talking, his parents talking about that kids needed to have masks on starting in fall when they went back to school. And so the next day, my little Noah, my little grandson, comes up to his parents. And again, the parents don't know that he heard anything, didn't think he was listening, just playing, whatever. And he comes up to him and he said, well, listen, Mom and Dad, I'll wear a mask to school, but when I'm eating, I'm taking off my mask. And so it's just a great way to know from kids to adults, to everybody, that this is an opportunity to increase your health, wealth, and success. And in particular, today we just have a special guest with us, Megan Miller, and she actually is a functional medicine nurse practitioner. And so she can only, she's licensed in the state of Texas, can only be licensed there, but we're going to talk a little bit later on how you can actually get all of her good stuff, because she is also a holistic health coach, and she specializes in increasing your health, specifically hormonal imbalances, digestive issues. But what I love best about Megan is that when we were helping first responders, that's where we met, and that she donates and dedicates herself to, like we do, to first responders. And so she's been such a blessing to them, to helping the first responders and their families. So Megan, welcome, and we thank you so much for your big heart, girl.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hank. I'm giving you a hug, virtual hug.
Yay! Kisses! Yay! And so Megan, tell us about what you do. Maybe some stories about how you help people. Who would need you? How can you help us understand how you can help us?
Well, first, I'd like to talk a little bit about what functional medicine is.
Okay.
And I like to use the analogy of the leaky faucet. So if we have a leaky faucet, and conventional medicine will say, let's bring in a mop and let's mop up the dirty water, and then that dirty water gets dirtier, and let's bring in another mop. And so then we have a bunch of mops and a bunch of dirty water, but the faucet is still leaking. And so functional medicine, we get to the root cause and find the source of the leak.
Awesome. I love that.
I treat the whole person. So not just, I don't see you as a chart or a number, see you as a whole person and a complete, all of your systems as one and not just separate, if that makes sense.
And your emotions too, that, you're looking at their
So lifestyle medicine is huge. The mental, spiritual, emotional, and psychological aspects all encompass health. It's not just, let's label you with a disease and then slap you with a drug and send you on your way, right? That's not
That's cool. I love that you say that, and you're a nurse and everything, and able to say that, because that's pretty much that. And again, just to be clear, that we are very grateful for the doctors and the nurses, and everything that happens. But it can be that you maybe want something more than just that. And it probably can really heal you too. And that, and I think that Megan really can, because she's looking at everything, can really look at the root cause. And that's what I love about this too, is you're able to look at the root cause. So tell us more.
Yeah, your body has an amazing power to heal itself. You just have to give it what it needs and remove the things that are getting in the way. So hormones is a big thing, a big part of what I do. There's about 200 hormones or hormone-like substances in the body. You know, then, I mean, there's a lot, but the main ones are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, thyroid, cortisol, melatonin, and insulin.
Wow.
That's a lot. I know that's a lot, but those are like the main ones. And
Yeah.
and they affect nearly every cell and organ in the body. They regulate mood and memory, energy, sleep, libido, fertility, as well as the immune system, the digestive system, your response to stress. And they play a really key role in maintaining bone and muscle mass. So fluctuating hormones impact you emotionally, physically, and psychologically. So riding these waves of emotions, these are the generally I see adults in between the ages of 30 and 60, but I can see anybody at any age. Because when we ride these waves of emotions, it's challenging to say the least. And so understanding what is happening, knowing that there's help in getting an individualized plan can help you handle it with a sense of control and keep you sane.
That's awesome. And so do you do some standard tests then, like, blood or whatever? And so what type of tests do you perform before you go into your more holistic approach?
So there are several different types of tests that I do. One, you can test hormones in several ways. For the most part, I use blood because that's typically covered by insurance.
Okay.
But we can also test it in saliva. For example, cortisol is a hormone that fluctuates throughout the day. It should be higher in the morning and lower at night. And so we'll do a 4-point cortisol saliva test. And sometimes I will see patients that come to me and they're really tired in the morning and they're super awake at night. So their cortisol is backwards. So we have to work to get those to work. And there's also dried urine test for hormones. And then a really big test that is super important, I think, is testing your stool to see what's going on in your gut, because that plays a major role. And your gut is intimately connected with your hormones.
Yeah, I see. So, do I get when I do my annual checkup and they take my blood, do they check the hormones?
No, that's not a standard. No.
That's what I figured. I figured hey, you're saying, well, one of the main ways is, to check your hormone levels, and that's what isn't done. So how do I get my blood done to be able to check for my hormones, or how does that work? Because really this could be applicable in any state, I assume. It's just you personally are in Texas, the expert, but there are other experts in every state.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Okay, good. And how would I Google that if I am in another state? Yeah. What do I look for?
You can go, a really good website is the Institute for Functional Medicine, ifm.org. And that you can put in your zip code and you can look up for a functional medicine provider.
Awesome.
You might not all be well-versed in hormone therapy, but most of them really understand hormones and especially how to get to the root cause.
Great. And so once I get them and then where do I go? Do you have a place where you just, you go to your office or whatever and take your blood, or do I go to my regular doctor and get the blood, but tell them I need this done? How does that play out?
So how do
I get my blood done for hormones?
Well, you'd have to find a provider that would be willing to test them. And a lot of my patients tell me that they have been to different providers and said, I think it's my hormones, but they've actually been told, no, we're not going to test them, or they test just 1 or 2 markers. Like, for example, thyroid, I test 7 markers, and oftentimes there's only 1 or 2 that are tested. And what I've been told by my patients is that they feel that maybe the providers once they get the results back, they don't know how exactly to work with them. And that's not that they're bad or they don't know what they're doing. It's just that is not in their wheelhouse and that is not their expertise.
Right. So you take the blood then. So you do this.
I don't take the blood. What I do is I send them, I see what you're asking. I send them with a lab order to the lab that then
you can do a lab order. I go to a lab, you tell me what lab, whatever, and then I do that. About how much does that cost?
Well, most insurance companies cover it 100%, all of my testing.
Okay. And if not, if by chance they don't, then do you
if not, if you were going to just pay cash for all of the blood
Yeah.
tests that I do,
Yeah.
it would be probably over $2,000.
Oh my gosh.
However, I contract with a couple different lab companies just specifically for those patients who don't have insurance or just have not so good insurance.
Yeah.
And I can typically get everything covered for about 300.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. But for most people that have insurance, then it'll be covered. So I get my blood done, you check my hormones, and then what else do you do as far as what else are you checking before you go into the more holistic approach?
So I really do recommend for most of my patients to get that stool test done because your digestive system is responsible for absorbing nutrients from your food, which helps you make the hormones in your body that it needs and the breakdown to get rid of those that you don't. So when it's not functioning properly, of course, you can get symptoms like gas and bloating and, those kind of things, constipation, but it also can show up as anxiety and fatigue or frequent illnesses because if you're having, and this is a interesting fact that I think everybody needs to know.
Okay.
If you are having less than 2 bowel movements per day, that is associated with low hormone activity and low metabolism. And it's surprising because a lot of people think that once a day or twice a week, whatever their normal is. So we have a lot of poop discussion.
And what does that say again? If you have less than 2 per day, that what is that causing, or what does that probably indicate?
So, well, it's associated with low hormone activity, low absorption, low metabolism, and then you're likely holding on to more toxins that are building up in your system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would I be right in saying that by doing these studies, and again, I assume this stool sample is also covered by insurance, or you got to angle for it or whatever in order to get it, last that. And then would you say that then this would overall decrease my stress too? You mentioned anxiety, and maybe it's one or the other the same, but is that an accurate statement?
The testing or what?
That by what you do, that you help people and they have issues like this, it decreases their stress.
Well, it decreases their stress because they feel like finally they're getting answers. And instead of being told everything's quote unquote normal, there's nothing wrong with you, here's a drug to cover up your symptoms, even if sometimes the results, I have to spend a lot of time with them to make sure they understand the ins and outs, because I think that's really, really important for them to understand what the results say. But that in of itself is sometimes, it's overwhelming sometimes, but also can be like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. There really is something that's going on that is contributing to my overwhelming feelings of anxiety. And then on top of that, then we work on how to increase your resilience. And because, as we can't always get rid of our stressors, but changing the way that we respond to them can literally save our lives. And that's been documented times, right? Research.
And I love that. I just love that whole idea about how you respond, because the way that I position it, if you will, is everything is a blessing if you see it as that or not.
Right.
So people have a tendency like this, all these changes that have happened in the world, I see all the blessings. It's created such great opportunity. It's created more connectedness with family. There's so many good things. And if you continue to look at the wanted, you'll get more wanted. But if you start looking at the unwanted, you'll get more unwanted.
Exactly true.
Attraction.
Right.
So that's beautiful. Okay, so you run these tests first, and that way you really have a good idea about what's going on and where deficiencies, whatever. And then I assume we come and see you, and then what happens? Or we Zoom you, maybe even.
So the very first visit is not going over results or anything. It's really just an in-depth discussion on with with my patient on what they're going through, what they've been through, where they want to be, different stressors, how are you sleeping? We talk about everything.
Wow.
And then that gives me a really good idea of how to move forward with a really solid individualized plan, because the lab results are a piece of the puzzle, but the person sitting in front of me is the bigger piece of the puzzle, and what they're experiencing and what they're feeling. So I like to start out with a really thorough assessment of symptoms, followed by the comprehensive testing, which, like we talked about, may include blood, saliva, urine, or stool. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then addressing things that need help. So that includes addressing factors like stress, diet, exercise, nutritional deficiencies, gut imbalances, environmental toxins. And then when appropriate, we use bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which mimics the chemical makeup of hormones that your body naturally produces, unlike synthetic hormones. Like, for example, Premarin comes from pregnant mare's urine. And that's where the name even comes from, Premarin.
Wow.
And progestins, which have been shown to increase the risk of disease. So, but when we use bioidentical, mimicking our body's makeup, then they're safe, and we get to balance those and start to feel better pretty quickly.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, how is that administered? Like, is that a pill or a shot or whatever?
Well, it depends on what the hormone is. Some I would never recommend a pill. Some I would never recommend a shot. Also depends if you're male or female.
Okay.
But so for example, progesterone can be applied as a cream, but it also can be taken as a pill. And when you take it as a pill, it actually activates GABA in the brain. So it helps a lot of people sleep better.
Wow. So what is that help? Is everybody said, "Oh, hold on, I need help with sleep," and so just before I move on to that and the sleep and everything, that who administers those shots and those pills or whatever? Do you do that, or
I write the prescription, and then the patient will take them? And if it's a shot,
prescription, got it.
Yeah, shots are rare. Those are more often for men who are done having babies and need some testosterone replacement. That's more when the shots come into play, and I might show them how to do it the first time, and then generally they'll do it after that.
Oh, they get it themselves. Okay. Where do you put that shot? In your knee? I mean, in your thigh?
Yeah, you can put it in your thigh. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, not your knee. Yeah. Yeah, I was in Switzerland, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I just had a problem with of all things, a bleeding ankle, and so I went to the hospital there, and they said, well, so you don't get a blood clot, whatever, you got to give yourself these shots, and it was in my thigh in the plane on the way home. It was a 20-hour, flight or whatever, and so that's why I kind of knew about that stuff. But,
yeah.
Administering it yourself. So tell me that I think a lot of people show anxiety. So one thing, folks, we can all take from Megan here is that you're looking to decrease your anxiety, and that's a hot button right now for many people. That this is one way, because again, everything's tied together: the mind, the body, the spirit. And so to get your body right, and then you can come to me, get your head right, and then you'll be connected with your spirit, and all will be well. But I think the sleep, and so not only anxiety, and to reduce your stress, which by the way will increase your longevity, that what's another, as far as sleep is concerned, so you help people with sleep?
Absolutely. That's probably one of the number one things that I see people for. And really making some simple changes can really drastically improve your sleep.
Cool. And what are those simple changes that maybe?
Oh, I don't know. Those might be secret. No, I'm just kidding. Well, and a lot of it is things that people say, I know I should, but I just say, don't should on yourself. So things like, so screen time. This is what most people tend to do before they go to bed, is scroll through their phone or look at our computer or watching TV. But part of our brain takes in information through our eyes.
Mm.
And it basically tells your brain, is it time to go to sleep? Is it time to be awake? And so if you are exposing your eyes to the blue light or the unnatural light
Mm.
that is before you go to bedtime, then it kind of messes with your circadian rhythm. And
Wow.
it's not a like, well, sometimes it is like a light switch for people. Once they change their bedtime routine,
Mm.
they just start sleeping better because your brain isn't saying, oh, I'm supposed to be awake. You have to start, an hour or two before you go to bed,
Okay.
basically telling your brain that it's time to go to bed. So changing light bulbs from bright lights to maybe an amber color if you're going to use light bulbs, really switching to real books and reading or
Yeah.
hanging out if you have kids, just tucking them in bed, but then maybe just
Yeah.
having a conversation or doing something that doesn't have to do with electronics can make a big
Got it. Wow. So probably an hour before bed that just
Mhm.
slow it down. And one of my techniques that I share is that to breathe deeply and do that 6 times, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, so it's about a minute, and then say to yourself, "I sleep in peace and awaken in joy."
Yeah.
And that has been very good too, because like you say, the eyes are telling the mind, and we have power with our conscious mind to be able to do it. So I asked to sleep in peace, and that might be another one. Another tip for us as far as the sleep is concerned.
Well, you brought up a really good point because we kind of remain in this fight or flight mode pretty much all the time. And so when we're trying to go to sleep, if we're still in that mode, we're not going to be able to. So breathing is huge.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times people can't sleep because they're either in the past or in the future. So if you can get yourself in the present, you will fall asleep. Whatever that means for you. And it's a hard thing for a lot of people, but the more you just remind yourself of that and practice that, maybe listen to the fan or white noise or just making sure you are just in the present and you will fall asleep. Now, there are others, sometimes people do need progesterone or magnesium. Those are the two things I think everybody mostly needs. But
Is that right?
both very calming and can help with anxiety and sleep and even headaches and just so many.
And what are those two again?
Progesterone and magnesium. And I would recommend magnesium glycinate is the best for most people.
Nate, how do you?
Glycinate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, great. That's super. Wow. And so like you can just,
Sleep is so important, Hank. If you're not sleeping, you're increasing your risk for overall disease. If you're a man, you're lowering your testosterone. It's just your sleep is so vital, and so many people take it for granted because we have to work, we have to do this, and this is the only time we have to do it. But if you can make sleep a priority, then you're going to live longer. You're going to be more joyful. You're going to be able to handle stressors much better because so many of us are getting such little sleep, definitely less than 8 hours, but even less than 7 or even sometimes 6, that it becomes the norm. And so we're like, well, this is just normal for me. But then once you actually get sleep, you're like, oh my God, I don't have so much stress. I can handle things better. I just feel happier.
Sure. What is your opinion about naps then, like during the day?
So I don't think that naps are terrible. Some countries, they have a nap time. And I think they can.
My world, I have a nap time every day, and I love my naps. And I do a meditation and whatever.
Exactly.
But, it relaxes me and just, boosts me up. So, I probably have, I guess, 7 hours of sleep at night. And then another hour kind of sleep meditation in the middle of the day, or whenever my schedule allows it. But I always schedule it in. I don't have other people get in my way of my nap. heaven forbid. But I assume so that's good, and that naps are good. And
Yeah, I think for me, I found like a 20-minute power nap can be amazing if you're, tired. And also there's an app called Yoga Nidra that I think is fantastic. And you can choose 10, 20, or 30-minute sessions. And it is a meditation, but it's a body scan, and you're supposed to be lying down in the Shavasana, if anybody knows that position for yoga,
Yeah, right.
So and I've done that before when I feel like I really need a little bit of a nap, but I can't quite fall asleep. And I find that I feel like I fell asleep, but then I wake up right at the end, and it's so rejuvenating.
Wow. And YOGA, and then
NIDRA.
NIDRA. Okay, got it. Cool, great. Yeah, it's just so fun, I just love all your smartness, Megan, and your help on this. That we invest hours, but that Megan helps with fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, anxiety, depression, insomnia, irritability, digestive issues, and many more. And again, there's Megan definitely has it. In fact, Megan, don't you have a master class that we could attend? And can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I started out calling it the Resilient Woman's 1-month plan.
Okay.
But I found that it's really important to have 2 weeks to kind of prepare for the 1-month plan. So I added 2 bonus weeks. So it's a 6-week online program. The next one starts June 7th. It is for women right now. I am going to develop one for men soon, but that one, so it starts June 7th, and we all start together and finish together. It comes with weekly live coaching sessions with me, and there's also instructional and educational videos. There's going to be some digital downloads and a workbook, a mini recipe book, and then also you get access to an app, so you can help track your progress. You can log in from a laptop, desktop or tablet, or on your phone.
Wow.
You'll get daily reminders with accountability and support, and then access to a closed community. So it's really jam-packed.
That's great. Sounds fabulous. And can you give our audience a discount on that?
Yes, I'm actually, I've offered a 67% discount for the month of April, but if you are listening to this podcast, I'm going to give you an additional 50% or $50 off.
Off of that. Okay. So
you'll just have to, if you can find the link on my website, and
and how do we get to you?
So that's a great question. My website is Megan Miller, the simple spelling, MEGAN.
Okay, and MILLER.
And then NP.
NP.
For nursepractitioner.com.
And
there is information about the women's masterclass. And then also you can call or text 512-580-4399.
Give that to us again.
Sure. 512. 580.
Okay.
4399.
Okay. Right.
And one of the best ways to connect with me really is through Facebook. I have a Facebook page.
Okay.
It's Megan Miller, FNP.
Okay.
And then also I have 2 Facebook groups, one for women and one for men, and they're both hormones and gut health. One for women and one for men. And if you go to my Facebook page, there's a link right there for it.
Okay, super. Well, I trust everybody wrote that down. If not, you can get in contact with me, and I have that information, and it's just fabulous. And as we end the show here, is there anything during these big changes that have happened, are there maybe a few tips that you would give us that maybe could all just help us right now to be able to enjoy life more, look at our bright future, feel better, whatever, increase our health? What would you recommend on that, Megan?
Well, a few things. The first one is don't feel guilty for feeling happy, because when we're in a crisis state or a pandemic and you find joy, don't feel bad, because you have every right to feel joy no matter what is going on in the world. And that's how you're increasing your longevity and those around you.
You know, I got to tell you, that's a really good point. I've never heard it that way, positioned that way. But yeah, people feel like, oh, because they're not feeling good or they're sick or they lost someone or whatever, that we feel like, well, and now we got to be sad too. And, that this idea about joy, and that is we thrive, the whole world thrives. So I love that feel happy. And
feel happy, allow yourself to feel happy. Don't feel bad for taking care of yourself. Put that oxygen mask on yourself so you can take care of others.
Okay.
And just something that I like to say to myself every day, and also with my kids. And sometimes my mother-in-law, she texts me and tells me she's having a bad day. I call her up and I say, stop talking and listen. And that's what I say, okay, we're going to say this together until you believe it. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Today is a great day. I choose joy. I choose happiness. I am fearless and I am calm.
So say it again. I'm happy.
I am healthy. Today is a great day. I choose joy. I choose happiness. I am fearless and I am calm.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Fearless.
I really challenge anybody who's ever just kind of feeling blah or angry or whatever negative emotion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Find somebody, hold their hand and say, will you do this with me? And I guarantee you, it might not be after one time of saying it, but if you continue to say it, especially if you can find somebody else to do it with you, look in the mirror if you have to, if it's just you, but you will feel better.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, and, 2 or more of you are there, and there I shall be. And so that answer, you bet. How beautiful. Well, we certainly appreciate all your wisdom and your love, Megan. The other thing that really what made me want to have you on my show is when we were helping first responders together in a virtual class, that you said an amazing point that I really hadn't heard it that way before, but it was that your heart actually speaks more to you than your mind speaks to your heart. And do you want to just do you have a word about that and what you mean by that?
Well, there's there's three brains, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, to always check in with your heart. I'm sorry, your heart's down here. Your head, your heart, and in your gut. And if those three, so if you're faced with a decision and you're just like, I don't know what to do, or you're having trouble figuring something out, put your hand over your gut. Start there. What is it saying? And really, really listen. Put your hand over your heart. And what is it saying? And if it's aligned with your head, then you have your answer. And not until all three are aligned do you have a really solid answer. But our heart, when we can do something called heart focused breathing, where you just close your eyes, you relax, you take those deep breaths like Dr. Hank talks about, and you focus on your breath flowing in and out through your heart. And as you focus with your breath flowing in and out of your heart, it's going to communicate that with your brain, especially if you can activate a feeling of love or joy or accomplishment or something. It can be a person, a place, or a thing. And you feel it just flowing through your heart and just filling your body. And that is going to communicate with your brain, and you're going to feel better because your brain is going to be listening to what your heart is telling you.
Love it. Love it. Can you give an example of like what is your gut said, if you will? And I sometimes use the solar plexus as your intuition, if you will. And are we in the same area there? Are we kind of talking the same thing? First of all, is it the solar plexus? Is that accurate or?
Well, your whole gut consists of all your digestive organs.
Okay.
So your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, everything that's in there.
Okay.
And they're also, have you ever heard it called the second brain?
Yeah.
And I think it's in China. You know, we go like this when we have a thought. They point to the belly. So they are thinking, because we've all had the gut feeling.
Yeah.
And we've all said, my heart tells me whatever.
Right.
And that's real. And we can't ignore that. I mean, it really is real. And once you learn, and that's another thing that I really spend a lot of time with my patients, is really focusing on being really aware of your body, listening to what it's saying, and following through with that, because sometimes the most subtle change in your life can impact you greatly. But if you aren't in tune with that or aware of how it's affecting you, then you'll miss it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Can you give an example of the stomach where you either had a patient or yourself where, hey, I was listening and my stomach said that, my gut said this?
Well, I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but I have a great example of how I use this. I have one of my daughters, she's 10, almost 11, and she came storming in the house the other day. Mommy, I can't decide. I'm trying to pick between this, and I don't know what to do. And which one should I do? And I said, okay, I'm not going to tell you, but I want you to put your hand on your gut and tell me, what is it saying? And pretty much right away, she's like, oh, it's saying this. Okay.
Right.
Put your hand on your heart. And she did it. And it was the same answer every time. And I said, you have your answer. And she said, but I really like the other one too. And I said, but honey, you listened to what your gut told you. And it was in alignment with your heart and your brain. So she's like, okay. So that is what I'm talking about, listening, because even sometimes when our gut tells us, I really should not do that, or I should do it, but our brain or something else is getting in the way, and we still choose something else.
Yeah.
Slow down and really listen to what is your gut saying, because it is speaking to you for a really good reason.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Our bodies are so intelligent. They're so smart. Yeah. And we treat them like poo-poo sometimes.
Yeah, and in my teaching, I have that, we're being guided every moment of every day. And that's that guidance there, but it's not this chattering. We sometimes think, oh, it's what my, brain is doing. And it's kind of like we have our lower self on little chattering committees saying, oh, you did this wrong or whatever. Oh. But then we have our higher self, with these beautiful godly thoughts. And for those thoughts to then be connected to your heart and then connected to your body, and again, that through your gut, and be listening to that. What a beautiful way to be guided. And so all of us have this guidance system, and Megan can help you to be on your lighted path. So with that, Megan, we thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom. Again, to get a hold of Megan, you can do the Megan Miller np.com, nursepractitioner.com, and probably the best way, and she's on Facebook. And so with that, Megan, we thank you very much for your wisdom, for your love, and for helping us become our greatest possibility.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hank.
Okay, thank you. And everybody, thanks for joining us. If you're in real estate, tomorrow at noon, we have Real Estate Professionals Mastermind. And then Wednesday, Health, Wealth, and Success. And I'll be sharing some of these great secrets of Megan with you during that time, along with lots more. So with that, this is Dr. Hank, Megan Miller saying, we love you guys, all the best, and know that everything is coming your way the way you want it. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.